Have you ever heard of the Russian sleep experiment? It's a chilling story that's been floating around the internet for years, and it's guaranteed to keep you up at night. Let's dive into what is supposedly one of the most disturbing experiments ever conducted. Our story begins in the late 1940s, right in the thick of the Cold War. A top-secret Soviet facility is said to have conducted a truly unsettling experiment. The subjects, 5 political prisoners. The deal they were offered seemed simple, almost too good to be true. If they could stay awake for 30 consecutive days, they would be set free. To achieve this, the scientists sealed them inside a small, airtight chamber. This room was then filled with a special stimulant gas designed to prevent sleep. Inside the chamber, there were no windows, only microphones and small glass portholes for the researchers to observe them. There were no cameras. The gas reportedly interfered with electronic devices. For the first 5 days, everything seemed to go according to plan. The prisoners were fine. They talked amongst themselves, sharing stories about their lives, their families, their regrets, and their dreams of what they'd do once they were free. They were bonding, forming a small community in their shared confinement. But as the days ticked by, a dark shift began to occur. By day 6, the tone of their conversations changed. They became paranoid and distrustful. They stopped talking to each other and instead began whispering into the microphones, revealing dark secrets about their fellow prisoners. They were strategically turning against one another, trying to win favor with the researchers they believed were listening. The camaraderie they had built completely crumbled, replaced by suspicion and betrayal. Then, on the 9th day, the experiment took an even more terrifying turn. One of the prisoners began screaming. He screamed at the top of his lungs, running back and forth in the chamber for hours on end. He continued screaming until his vocal cords physically ruptured, and all that came out were faint squeaks. The other prisoners showed no reaction. They continued whispering into the microphones as if nothing was happening. Then, something even stranger occurred. The screaming prisoner went silent, and so did the others. Complete, unnerving silence filled the chamber for 3 long days. The researchers became extremely worried. Was everyone dead? Had the gas malfunctioned? They checked the oxygen levels. They were normal. Through the intercom, they announced they were coming in. We are opening the chamber to test the microphones. Step away from the door and lie flat on the floor, or you will be shot. Compliance will earn one of you your immediate freedom. To their surprise, a single calm voice replied from inside. We no longer want to be freed. This chilling response sent a shiver down everyone's spine. What could have possibly happened in there? After 2 more days of silence, the scientists couldn't wait any longer. On day 15, they decided to break their own rule and open the chamber. They shut off the stimulant gas and pumped in fresh air. Immediately, voices from inside began to protest, begging for the gas to be turned back on. The door was unsealed, and soldiers were sent in to retrieve the prisoners. What they saw was a scene of pure horror. One of the 5 prisoners was dead. The remaining 4 were alive, but barely recognizable. They were emaciated, their bodies covered in severe, self-inflicted wounds. It was a gruesome sight. When the soldiers tried to remove them from the chamber, the prisoners fought back with a strength no one could have anticipated. They screamed, not out of pain, but out of a desperate fear of falling asleep. One of them shouted something that echoes in the minds of those who hear this story. I must remain awake. The struggle was intense, but eventually, the survivors were subdued and taken for medical treatment. As doctors tried to tend to their horrific injuries, one of them turned to the last conscious prisoner and asked the question that was on everyone's mind. What are you? The prisoner, with what was left of his face, managed a slow, terrifying smile. He whispered, have you forgotten so easily? We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment of your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis when you go to the nocturnal haven where we cannot tread. This story, whether real or a work of fiction, taps into a primal fear. The fear of what lies hidden within the human psyche, and what might happen if we were stripped of our most basic need, sleep. So, the next time you find yourself struggling to drift off, remember the Russian sleep experiment.